With me today is Kaohua Lucas, and part of the journey of Waikalua Loko Iʻan over the last 26 years have been just phenomenal, and Kaohua and I and many others have been on this journey for a long time, and I'm happy that she's sitting with us today. We're in October 2021. We are 19 months into this COVID pandemic in the world. And what I wanted to share was some thoughts about looking to the past to chart our way forward. And how do we take the wisdom of our ancestors, the wisdom that we've learned at Waikalua over the last 26 years, and help to inspire the next generations, and probably more immediately, hopefully communicate a message about healing and understanding in the context of places like these. And not just Waikalua, but many of our other cultural sites throughout Hawaii that are really important to us as individuals, as family, as community, in terms of empowering us to move forward in a positive way, even though we have these challenges. And there have been many. And there are lessons to be learned in this process of capturing some of the stories of people that have helped us in this journey, and taking some of that power and aloha and mana to be able to hopefully transport that into the future and give hope for our children especially, because we're getting older, and this is an opportunity for us to hopefully share some of our mana'o. We don't have all of the answers, but we have some wonderful experiences, and probably most importantly, relationships that we've been able to discover and build and nurture over the years that have brought us to this place. In the history of Hawaii, we know that through our research that there were almost 500 of these fish ponds that were built from 800 years ago. They are a feat of Hawaiian engineering that is unprecedented in the world. The local kuopā has not been duplicated anywhere else on the planet. And so, 26 years ago, we didn't know that. Unfortunately, in the 21st century, there are about maybe 10 or 15% of the local i'a that are left in all of the major Hawaiian islands. So, unfortunately, in the 21st century, the Hawaiian local i'a, or the fish ponds, are on the verge of vanishing. But there's been a whole collection of nonprofits, in addition to ours, Pacific American Foundation, and many others, that have been, investing in trying to restore some of these places. But none of us have been successful as we speak right now in terms of actually propagating fish as a local i'a was originally intended to become. And maybe that's not going to happen for another generation. But in the last 26 years, in the restoration process and the preservation and the revitalization process that we've been going through with many partnerships to help us get there, it has been about not just the physical restoration, and not just about the ability to grow food again from these places, but it's been about taking a step back and really nurturing relationships in a way that can empower how we pass on knowledge from the past into the future, so that we have a clearer idea of where we need to go in the generations to come. And so part of these stories that we're sharing with you from some of these wonderful people that have been on the journey with us has been a phenomenal experience in itself for us to capture some of this, so that we can share this with people throughout Hawaii and the world, and more importantly, hopefully to be able to inspire the generations to come. When we started this in 1995, we had no manual. Nobody told us, this is how you do it. We basically had to do our own studies, our own research, our own makahana ka'ike, right? And the knowledge came as we started doing it. And we've had wonderful partnerships with the Department of Education in Hawaii, the University of Hawaii, private schools, home schools, charter schools, and many others that have now come to visit the pond. And so Kaohua, you've been, you were part of that original, I call them the dream team of people that helped to, develop that very first curriculum called Kahea Loko, which we penned the Call of the Pond. you want to share some thoughts and ideas about the importance of that in terms of this journey, looking at the past to chart our way forward?
Yeah, and maybe I love to start off with a little story.
Yeah.
I was just kind of thinking about, you know, how we're looking at the past, trying to learn from the past, to bring it forward so that it can inform us on what we need to do for the future, so we can perpetuate this legacy that we have here. And I was just thinking about when I was a small, you know, I was about 9 years old. I remember distinctly my grandma. We lived in the ocean. I lived in Kaohua. I was raised in Kaohua. But she would have me go out, and I don't know if any of you guys know this, but there's PPP. Anyway, she would make me go out and pick up PPP. PPP is about this, I don't even know what the common name is, but it's about that big. And so, you know, we would always joke around like, there's nothing, like, why are you going to get PPP? There's nothing there to eat, you know. But she would make me go out, and myself and my brother, and we'd have to harvest the PPP. But what was really cool, and what I learned from her, of course is much later, but what I learned was that if you are picking the PPP, you're going to make sure that you don't take it all. You're going to leave enough for the next, you know, for the next time you need. And so I thought that was a really cool kind of teaching, was that I learned that, you know, even though I brought it in and she made us, oh my gosh, she made us boil the water and put the PPP in, and then we had to take it out, then we had to get a needle. I mean, not everybody remembers this, but get the needle and dig out the meat, and then she would fry it in butter, and anyway. But I think for me, what I learned from that exercise was this idea about, you know, kuleana, and that I had a kuleana to this land, to this aina, not only to Kaohua where I grew up, but to Hawaii and the world, that I had kuleana to make sure that I absorbed and practiced those teachings that she gave me. And I feel like that's kind of what we're doing here, really, is that we have all of these practices, these ike kupuna, you know, so we've learned a lot from our kupuna, we've learned stories about this place. And so now what we're trying to do, and I think that's what the Kauilaokahekiliokalani curriculum did amazingly, was to take these stories and then now share them with the next generation. And even beyond that, I think we were also able to not only take those mo'olelo, but also include, you know, the science part of it, which was always such a, it's a big part of what we do here. And it's amazing because we have so many wonderful scientists that are part of Kauilaokahekiliokalani, or part of Waikalua Loko. But anyway, I just saw this kind of connection and this bridge between mo'olelo, our science and our standards, and being able to get that into our classroom so that the kids that maybe struggled sometimes in the classroom, when they came out here, it was like a whole different experience for them. And I believe that many of them it's already innate in them. Their kupuna already gave them that knowledge, and it was just giving them a chance to come here, get dirty, go on the fish pond, pull limu, harvest fish, whatever. But it kind of brought that to the surface, I think, for many of them. And I feel like that's what we're going to do down the road. Our kuleana is to ensure that those stories live on and that our kids are reconnected to this land. It's important for us to do that. And I feel like we're doing that right now. So anyway, I don't know if I answered your question.
No, that's great. That is great. I love that. And we do have, you know, kuleana is something that, you know, for me too, you know, it's, once we took on this kuleana, and I grew up right up the street over here, and I didn't know this place existed until I was 40 years old. But, you know, it's a life work. You don't ever walk away from it, right? And it stays with you forever. And I'm just, as you were talking, I just kind of reminisced about that first class that Sheila Cyboron brought from Castle High School over here way back in 1998. And, you know, what we took away from that was we thought, wow, you know, these kids have become so disconnected from places like this. You know, and we saw this amazing transformation in the kids over a 9-month period, right? Where they became now the teachers, not just the inspired students. You know, they were teaching other people adults and their peers about the local i'a, and I thought that was so wonderful. And for many years we thought it was about aloha aina, trying to connect kids to how do you care for, how do you love the land. And what I've learned over the years is that it's difficult to malama aina, which is the hard part, unless you have aloha for it. But we also learned that aloha aina was really the fourth step, because kids over the years asked us, well, how do you aloha aina? Where do you get that aloha from, right? And for me, as a person of faith, that aloha comes from Akua. Mm-hmm. That's the first step. And then he indwells that in us. That's the second step. And then the third step is the aloha kekahi I kekahi. And that is reminiscent of the many thousands of circles that we've made over the years, when everybody comes to understand that no one of us can do this kuleana alone, that it takes a village, it takes many people, it takes aloha kekahi I kekahi, sharing that power of aloha so that we can do the fourth step, and that is aloha aina, and then actually practice that and malama aina in whatever form, shape it takes. And I remember, Kauilaokahekiliokalani, and shout out to the memory of Maura O'Connor. Mm-hmm. She was a huge influence for both of us, because she was a genius that helped us to figure out, and yourself, how we bridge the language of education with cultural kuleana, and be able to do it in a way where, we had to help tell that story and be aligned to standards.
That's a tricky part.
Yeah, I mean, shoots. I mean, I had no clue how to do that. You guys taught me all about that, and it has been a wonderful process to now continue to build these bridges. Looking to the past to chart our way forward, because that journey never ends, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, and I was just thinking as you were saying that, just to see the different groups of people that would come out here, and to hear stories from kids about how much the place impacted them, and they might have not been able to articulate it maybe in the way we articulate things, but for them to say, oh, I remember when I used to go to my grandfather's house and he had a place where I could work on the land, and so when you're hearing those stories, it's that you can see that kind of relationship, or that understanding that there is still something there, that they feel connected to a place like this, and not everybody does, but I felt like there were a lot of stories like that, and there was this idea of connection, and I feel like that once you can get kids and community and ohana here, and once they see this place and can touch this place and be part of it, it's a place that helps them connect, but it's also a healing place, I think.
Yeah,
it's really a place of healing. So,
and especially in this pandemic time.
Exactly, exactly.
We need places like this, and now people are beginning to realize that being outside is a safe place, but it's always been a safe place.
Right.
And in Hawaii, I always say this, we live in the greatest community classroom on the planet, because our weather allows us the opportunity to take kids outside and immerse in the aina, so that they understand the relevance of what they're learning in the classroom. We need it all. We need both of it.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that these stories will invigorate and inspire the next generation, and many other nonprofits that are doing amazing things in Hawaii today in the 21st century, to inspire their own communities, in whatever way, shape, or form, to do the same thing. The last thing I want to say is, as you were talking, I remember maybe about the 15th year that we were doing this, we had teachers that came and brought their students that came here when they were students at Pu'ahala. And they came up to us and they said, Uncle, do you remember me? I was here when I was in the 4th grade or 6th grade, and now they're a teacher and they're bringing their own students. And they said, wow, this place looks so wonderful. And I basically fell on my knees, and I knew that, we were onto something in terms of providing that succession and understanding really what our kuleana was, to continue that legacy going forward, right? And hopefully these stories will continue that legacy and that sharing of, real time, real, human stories of how the pond has touched people and communities in different ways. Do you
Love
agree?
it. I totally agree. Success.
Yeah. Imua, holomua.
Holomua.
Mahalo for
Thank you.
coming, Kaohua, and
Thanks, Herb.
look forward to the journey ahead, and look
too.
forward to seeing more of your pictures and your genius and manao. So
Thank
mahalo,
you.
mahalo.
Mahalo.